Andrey Marin, apartment 67, at an angle. A tall gentleman with a suitcase was going up the stairs of the house number 11 and rang the bell of the apartment 67, but no one appeared, and he pushed the handle. Was opened. He barely managed to seize upon the door handle when he realized everything is angled in the apartment and all the furniture went down to a far wall. The gentleman was sharp enough to take a laying pose and slowly slide under an oak table which had a pecking crow on top of it. The wind was howling on the other side of the window. Some kids were playing football outside and their voices were reaching through the window. A sunny day was waiting outside. While resting in his grey suit on a wooden floor, he reached the wall. During his stay under the table, he took out of the case a book in a brown bidding and started reading in full voice. A man went through the main door of the block 11 of the Serene Street and rang the bell of 67's apartment. There was no answer from the other side, and he just pushed the handle to find the door to be unlocked, read he with a bold expression. On the next moment, someone was looking for the door. It was a man that had the same look but holding on a white rose in his hand. He took the same laying pose and slowly slid to the wall, under the table. The crow kept pecking when the man arrived. The suitcase gentleman made some room for his new neighbor so he can sit and savour the smell of his rose. The suitcase gentleman threw another look to his neighbor and kept reading. A man went through the main door of the block 11 of the Serene Street and rang the bell of 67's door. No one answered, so he pushed the handle. It wasn't locked at all. A moment after, someone looked for the door. The ones under the table looked up to see the guest. Someone who looked exactly as they did, but he was having empty hands. They shuffled look between themselves, while one of them was swirling the side of his forehead with his finger. Can't say they didn't like the new one. Perhaps he wasn't bright at all. A crack was heard. The window broke. A football ball blasted through it and went to the third man's hand. He smiled and looked towards the very dissatisfied gentleman under the table, raised his hand and victoriously shook the ball. He grabbed the ball and slid under the table, where other men made him some room with no desire in their acts. The darkness came and everybody was getting ready to sleep. The first gentleman put his suitcase under his head and covered his face with a book. His neighbor took 2 petals from a flower and covered his nose with one of them and put the other one under his head. The third one was trying to find a place to sleep, but either his head was sliding off the ball or he was getting slapped for stretching towards the rose petals. He bursted into tears and threw his ball away, which bounced into a rose spike and was gone. The crow just waved her wings and bursted through the window. They hissed to the new guest and quickly took their laying poses. The third one had to put some rubber pieces of the ball under his head. They fell asleep so fast that none of them would notice how the room got now debalanced after that crow took off and the whole room was leaning to the other side. They slid toward the open door. They woke up at the entrance on that cold and dusty floor, and none of them had time to wonder, because they were rushing to their jobs. Stood up, shook off, and went to work. Besides the third one, he went to buy some vodka and didn't go to work. The end.